What is the purpose of our memories? Why do we grow up within a family in the first place? And is nostalgia actually worth holding on to? Woody Allen writes and directs Radio Days precisely as an attempt to organize his memories and revisit his past. At the same time, the film becomes a remarkably precise portrait of a specific moment in American society, revealing how modern media and technological innovations shape the way we live, relate, and imagine the world around us. What's interesting is that this isn't simply the same idea Allen explores in other films, the notion that the present is bad and the past was better, like in Midnight in Paris. Instead, Radio Days is about something more honest, the reorganization of memory itself, remembering how good that life felt, without pretending it was perfect. What defined the choices and the daily rhythm of his family, and of so many families, is precisely the act of living on, despite the imperfections. And that may be the key to understanding our own lives. His single aunt, for example, was always searching for the perfect husband, and because a person like this just doesn't exist, she remained alone. Which raises a question: when we demand perfection from others, do we really want a relationship at all? Living in this world means accepting that perfection is something we will never fully encounter, starting with ourselves. And what the film shows so clearly is how human beings struggle to deal with these imperfections. Throughout Woody Allen's family, we also see the grandmother trying to appear thinner than she really is, the parents loving each other in a loud, abrasive way, constantly arguing and complaining, instead of expressing love through tenderness, patience, and mutual understanding. His aunt and uncle were a couple living almost entirely inside their little obsessions, bringing home fish or daydreaming about the glamorous lives of wealthy, famous couples they heard on the radio. His cousin, on the other hand, spent her days spying on the neighbors, more interested in other people's lives than her own. What emerges, overall, is a portrait of a society that could choose to deal more honestly with imperfection, but instead drifts into small anxieties and petty conflicts. A society constantly anesthetized by what comes through the radio, almost as if people were choosing, every day, to be distracted, soothed, and gently deceived. Everyone had their program. A thrilling sports broadcast that turned games into fairy tales. A romantic music show that promised love without risk. Each one offered what some might call comfort, or even something good, but in reality, they often functioned as anesthetics. Ways to escape daily life instead of confronting it. Ways to avoid asking the deeper question of what it actually means to be alive. Young Woody himself listened obsessively to superhero shows, searching for something heroic. His thoughts jump wildly, from childish curiosity about his teacher's body to fears of Nazi submarines lurking offshore. Fantasy and anxiety blend together in a mind shaped and guided by external noise. Even his parents don't quite know how to raise him and blame the boy for not being as intelligent as other children, especially when compared to the boy celebrated on the radio as a genius. Yet that so-called prodigy turns out to be nothing more than a snob, a hollow symbol inflated by media illusion. On the other side of this society, the story also offers us a glimpse behind the scenes of the radio era itself, into the lives of those who worked within this new technological innovation. We see both the genuine talent and the struggle to create meaningful art using nothing but sound, and the lives of actresses fighting for fame, a struggle that is embodied in the character played by Farrow, who uses every superficial and often foolish plan she can imagine, yet, through persistence, she eventually finds a path to success. Ironically, this is precisely what Woody's father never manages to achieve, always chasing the next entrepreneurial idea, hoping to escape dissatisfaction and poverty, but never staying long enough in any project to build anything real, moving endlessly from one novelty to the next. At the same time, any ordinary citizen like his father was also tempted by the great ideas of the modern age, including communism. Why believe in an invisible God who seems to offer nothing, when material inequality and the power of the super-rich are right there in front of us? Why sacrifice oneself at all? This journey of Woody's uncle reveals the central drama of the modern individual, shaped by mass media, modern ideologies, and a rapidly changing environment. he lives a superficial life, in which anything spiritual feels naive, childish, unrealistic, or simply absurd. What we see, then, is a society anesthetized, forgetting the one thing that could truly be eternal, the choice to seek what transcends this world. To pursue lasting goods. To live for treasures that do not disappear. Within this family, life continues almost by inertia. Children are still born despite material hardship. But by the end of the film, what we witness is the quiet death of an era, brought about by technological innovation. Radio, once revolutionary, fades away, replaced by something new. Progress marches on. Famous actors and ordinary people alike move on to the next great invention, television. And in our own time, artificial intelligence and streaming platforms. But this is not the whole story of humanity. As the film shows, alongside material and scientific progress, there is a visible decline in our capacity to reflect, to imagine meaning, and to relate to the spiritual. It becomes harder to look beyond what passes and to care about what does not decay. Instead of this, what if we chose to work for food that does not perish? What if we committed to lasting goals? What if we chose to love one another, rather than live trapped in petty frustrations disguised as jokes? What if we stopped drifting with the winds of each era, numbing ourselves just to survive, and instead asked what our mission in this world truly is? And what if nostalgia were not an escape, but a bridge, helping us to could absorb our past, honor our history, and still live oriented toward hope? Because if we stop anchoring our lives in what inevitably fades, and instead build upon a firm foundation, then perhaps we could find something rare in any age, a life rooted in meaning and a joy that endures. In the end, Radio Days reminds us that progress never stops. Technologies rise, fade, and are replaced. But human longing remains the same. Beneath all the noise, distractions, and nostalgia, the question persists: what are we living for? Memory is not meant to trap us in the past, nor to anesthetize us from the present. It exists to teach us how to live better, to choose love over illusion, meaning over distraction, and eternal things over what inevitably fades. Because when the signal goes silent, what remains is not the radio, the television, or the next innovation, but the life we chose to live, and the love we chose to give.